Tonight, breaking news, the state of emergency at this hour, the massive winter storm hitting right now, moving across the country all the way to the east. More than 130 million Americans in the path, 36 states now on alert tonight. Highways filled with cars. Some places will get more than a foot of snow, heavy ice, rain, and brutal cold. Tractor trailers halted on interstates. Thousands of flights already canceled. The concern in the south tonight, the ice storm alerts in several states. And the timing for Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. Bracing for dangerous commutes, Ginger Zee standing by. She's live in St. Louis tonight. The other major headline this evening on Russia and Ukraine. The U.S. now deploying 3,000 American troops to Eastern Europe. A response to Russia's military buildup along the Ukrainian border. What the Pentagon is now saying tonight, and Russia's response already in tonight. Ian Pannell in Ukraine. The two officers shot and killed on a college campus in Virginia, what we've now learned. And here in New York City, a sea of blue paying tribute to one of the officers killed in that shootout in Harlem. The pandemic tonight, and news the U.S. Army plans to immediately discharge soldiers who refuse to comply with the Pentagon's vaccine mandate. And on vaccines and the youngest children here in the U.S., how soon could Pfizer's vaccine be approved now? And what many doctors tonight say they still want to see. The former Dolphins head coach suing the NFL for racial discrimination. The league now with one black head coach across 32 teams. What the NFL is saying tonight. CNN President Jeff Zucker abruptly resigning today after leading the network for nearly a decade. Stepping down after he said he failed to disclose a consensual relationship with a top executive. There is news tonight after multiple bomb threats targeting more than a dozen historically black colleges and universities. The FBI now investigating these cases as hate crimes, and the new leads already in tonight. And this question this evening, what do Dolly Parton, Duran Duran, and Lionel Richie suddenly have in common?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. And as we come on the air tonight, those states of emergency already, this massive winter storm threatening more than 130 million Americans. In fact, 36 states on alert at this hour for ice, snow, freezing rain, and then brutal cold. From the Rockies to the Midwest, the ice storm worries in the south tonight. Then the Northeast and New England, treacherous ice for Dallas, Memphis, and Little Rock this evening. The concern over driving, and of course, will the power lines hold? Up to a foot of snow across the Midwest with more on the way. The storm reaching the Northeast tomorrow night into Friday morning. And behind it all, that frigid cold. The storm delivering a 1-2 punch of sorts. The first round barreling across the Midwest today. The second round coming next. Highways filled with vehicles already tonight. A FedEx truck jackknifing in the snow in Denver. The company warning of nationwide delays. In Columbia, Missouri, traffic backed up in both directions. This is I-70 right there. Heavy snow falling all day in the Chicago area. The Illinois governor tonight declaring a disaster, activating the National Guard. And look at this, plows at Chicago's Midway Airport trying to keep the runways clear, but thousands of flights already canceled nationwide tonight. This is a prolonged winter storm event over several days. Ginger Zee is standing by. She's live in St. Louis with the timing and track. And ABC's Alex Perez leading us off tonight from Chicago.
Tonight, white-knuckle conditions in the heartland. Highways littered with cars as that sprawling winter storm cranks into high gear. Drivers are struggling for traction in Chicago.
We still have snow-covered roads across the entire system. Poor conditions. It's very slippery out there.
Snow piling up in the suburbs.
We have at least, I would think, at least 7 inches already, and it's still coming down hard.
In southern Illinois, wrecked semis lining I-70. Our Ginger Zee is there.
Right here you can see what we are seeing. Dozens of semi-trucks jackknifed, wrecked, slid off. They're just littering the highways, and that was just round one.
Those wrecks on I-70 extending into Missouri. In St. Louis County, Missouri, watch the rear wheel of this car not turning, appearing to be stuck in ice. Air travel not faring much better. More than 2,000 flights canceled today. Winter alerts stretching all the way to Texas. Nearly a year after a catastrophic deep freeze paralyzed that state's power grid and claimed nearly 250 lives. On Tuesday, Governor Abbott insisted they are ready this time.
What we're prepared to achieve is that the power is going to stay on across the entire state.
And David, more than a foot of snow in some spots once this storm is over. And for many, the big concern now is blowing snow with wind gusts of more than 30 miles per hour. And then comes the deep freeze. The morning commute won't be pretty. David?
Alex Perez leading us off tonight. Alex, thanks as always. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee. She's live in St. Louis tonight, timing this all out. Hey, Ginger.
David, in St. Louis here, we were on the southern side, so we have kind of this thick smothering of what looks like a crushed ice that makes up maybe a snow cone that's flavorless. But on top of that light snow, and now tomorrow we're going to get the snow, I am most concerned about Paducah, Kentucky, Lexington, Louisville, back to Memphis because of that ice. We could see accumulating freezing rain of a ½ inch or more. So look at this map. It's already started in Oklahoma and Texas. It will make its way tonight through early tomorrow into Arkansas, yes, into western Tennessee and Kentucky, southern Indiana too, and then Ohio. Cincinnati makes it into the ice by Thursday, 7 a.m. Watch, because the front end of this also has flash flooding from Alabama up through Chattanooga. Then it gets into the Northeast, and that's where it could become a real wreck. For Thursday night into Friday morning, the tri-state going to be dealing with that icy side of the storm. David?
All right, we're all in this together tonight. Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee, our thanks to you as well. We move on to other news tonight, into the tensions with Russia over Ukraine tonight. President Biden now ordering 3,000 U.S. troops to Eastern Europe to back up NATO forces amid the Russian buildup along Ukraine's borders. Tonight, Russia already out with its response. Our senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell in Ukraine again tonight.
Tonight, new satellite images of Russian forces massing north of Ukraine as President Biden orders American troops to deploy as a show of support to NATO allies.
The current situation demands that we reinforce the deterrent and defensive posture on NATO's eastern flank.
3,000 troops being sent to Eastern Europe, though not Ukraine. 1,000 are based in Germany and will head to Romania. No deployment dates yet, but we're told in the coming days. 2,000 troops will move from Fort Bragg in North Carolina to Poland and Germany. These are in addition to the 8,500 troops already on heightened alert. The Pentagon stressing these deployments are not permanent, but designed to bolster allies in the standoff with Russia over Ukraine. The Kremlin has over 100,000 troops along parts of Ukraine's borders, though insisting it doesn't plan to attack, and that the new troops to the north are just there for training. Tonight, Russia condemning the movement of American forces, calling it a destructive step that fuels military tension.
We do not know if Russia has made a final decision to further invade Ukraine, but it clearly has that capability.
Until now, the administration has said the risk of invasion was imminent. Now, no longer using that word, simply saying Putin could invade at any time. If a war comes, this region is where it's likely to erupt. We met some of the few remaining villagers of Zaitsevo, living in fear of war, at the mercy of larger forces and brooding armies. Their message to world leaders is simple. Stop the war. David, the 3,000 troops is primarily designed to try and send a message to Putin. And by leaving the door open to more deployments, it gives the president the option to ramp up the pressure even further. But this is also a high-risk strategy with no guarantee of success. David?
That's certainly true. Ian Pannell tonight. Ian, thank you. Back here at home tonight, and a former student at Virginia's Bridgewater College has now been charged in the fatal shooting of 2 campus officers there. Students and faculty mourning the shocking loss. Officers John Painter and J.J. Jefferson, known as the dynamic duo on campus. They were the best of friends. And tonight here, video as the suspect was taken down. Pierre Thomas in Virginia.
This is the dramatic moment when police track down and arrest the man they say killed 2 of their own. Guns drawn, police demand Alexander Campbell to surrender. This photograph capturing just before he's handcuffed, stretched out and on the ground shirtless. Campbell arrested after a brief manhunt following a nightmarish day for Bridgewater College.
2 officers did succumb to their injuries on campus.
Around 1:20 p.m. a day ago, a report of a suspicious man on Bridgewater's campus. Campus police officer John Painter and safety officer J.J. Jefferson are immediately shot after a brief encounter near a building that houses classrooms and offices.
I heard what were 3 loud pops.
My roommate and I immediately locked the door. We barricaded it.
Today, students and staff gathering to remember the men known as the dynamic duo. Close friends, Painter even serving as the best man in Jefferson's wedding.
This could have been much worse if they weren't so heroic.
No, I think that, I think we all know that. They sacrificed their lives for the safety of this community. It's unimaginable, unspeakable.
David, the suspect is a former student of the school, and court records show he was found guilty of trespassing in 2017 after being banned from a campus building. He now faces the death penalty if evicted. David?
All right, Pierre Thomas in for Thank you. Here in New York City tonight, another somber day, the funeral for NYPD officer Wilbert Mora. He and his partner were shot and killed responding to a domestic call for help. Thousands of officers, a sea of blue today, standing vigil outside St. Patrick's Cathedral. Officer Mora died in the hospital 4 days after he was shot, in a final act of service, donating his organs to save the lives of 5 others. We turn now to the pandemic tonight, and encouraging news here. COVID cases falling sharply, down 36% in a week. But hospitals in some parts of the country are still overwhelmed tonight. And this evening, the U.S. Army is now planning to immediately discharge soldiers who refuse to comply with the Pentagon's vaccine mandate. And after Pfizer submitted data to the FDA on its vaccine for children under 5, what doctors tonight say they still want to see on this front. Here's ABC's Whit Johnson now.
Tonight, the Army planning to immediately discharge soldiers who refuse to comply with the Pentagon's vaccine mandate. The Army secretary saying unvaccinated soldiers present risk to the force and jeopardize readiness. Just 3% of active duty service members remain unvaccinated. And today, the CDC director underscoring the risks of going without the shots.
Unvaccinated individuals were 97 times more likely to die compared to those who were boosted.
It comes as the parents of 18 million children under age 5 could finally get access to a vaccine by the end of this month.
I will be first in line. I will get her vaccinated as soon as possible, as soon as available. I don't care if they haven't finished their clinical trials.
It's okay.
But after Pfizer formally asked the FDA for emergency use authorization, the company acknowledging they believe 3 doses will be needed, even though it only has the same efficacy data for 2 doses so far. Some doctors want to see all the data before any authorization.
Not good enough. When we tell parents to vaccinate their kids, we need to tell them with complete clarity that the vaccine is both safe and effective, and we will not have the data to prove that it's effective.
More than 25 million kids over 5 have been safely vaccinated. But today, federal health officials trying to reassure parents who might be hesitant.
Please know that the FDA will not cut any corners in their review process. They know that they are the gold standard that all of us rely on.
And David, the White House says they're already making preparations and have secured enough doses. If and when the FDA authorizes the Pfizer vaccine for kids under 5, they will start packing up and shipping out those doses to states and healthcare providers across the country. David.
All right, Whit Johnson tonight. Thank you, Whit. We're learning more tonight about former Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores now suing the NFL and 3 teams for alleged racial bias in hiring. While 70% of players are black in the NFL, there is just 1 black head coach across 32 teams. What the NFL is now saying. ABC's Victor Akendo in Miami tonight.
Tonight, former Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores accusing the NFL of racial discrimination. A proposed class action lawsuit filed Tuesday claiming the NFL remains rife with racism, particularly when it comes to the hiring and retention of black head coaches, coordinators, and general managers.
We need change. And that was the number one reason for us filing a lawsuit.
Flores was fired last month after back-to-back winning seasons in Miami. Out of a job, he says he was then passed over for the head coaching position with the New York Giants. In his lawsuit, Flores says last week the Giants invited him to interview. But Flores, who spent 10 years under Bill Belichick with the Patriots, says days before that meeting, his mentor mistakenly sent him these text messages saying the job had already gone to Brian Daboll, a white coach.
There was a little bit of your anger, Why wouldn't I afford the opportunity to truly interview and show what I can do? Because I am a good coach.
Flores alleges he was granted interviews to satisfy the league's 20-year-old Rooney Rule, which mandates teams interview at least 1 minority candidate for top positions. But the Giants say they are confident with the process that resulted in the hiring of Brian Daboll. The NFL responding to the allegations in a statement saying diversity is core to everything we do, and there are few issues on which our clubs and our internal leadership team spend more time. We will defend against these claims, which are without merit.
And David, the Miami Dolphins vehemently deny any allegations of racial discrimination. Ryan Flores is hoping that with this class action lawsuit, more people might come forward and the league will change some of its hiring practices. David?
All right, Victor Oquendo tonight in Miami. Victor, thank you. CNN President Jeff Zucker abruptly resigning today after leading the network for nearly a decade, stepping down after he said he failed to disclose a consensual relationship with the top executive. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef tonight.
Tonight, Jeff Zucker, one of the most powerful executives in the news business, resigning after acknowledging he'd been in an undisclosed relationship with a top executive who was his second in command. CNN policy required him to disclose the relationship when it began.
We have news now to report involving our network. CNN President Jeff Zucker has just resigned after disclosing a consensual relationship with a colleague.
That romantic relationship with CNN Executive Vice President Allison Gollust uncovered during the investigation into former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo. Cuomo was fired for his effort to help his brother, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, fend off allegations of sexual harassment. In an email to CNN employees, Zucker, who helmed the news organization for 9 years, saying, "I acknowledge the relationship evolved in recent years. I was required to disclose it when it began, but I didn't. I was wrong." The two working closely for 20 years. Both are divorced.
His resignation is stunning in this newsroom and the news industry.
In a statement of her own, Gollust revealing her professional relationship with her boss changed during COVID, adding, "I regret that we didn't disclose it at the right time." She says she plans to remain at CNN. In a statement, Zucker calling Gollust one of his closest colleagues, and as you heard there, they worked together for 20 years. David?
Ariel Reshef here in New York tonight. Ariel, thank you. And when we come back here, there is news tonight after multiple bomb threats targeting more than a dozen historically black colleges and universities. The new leads tonight. And the president and his cancer moonshot, what he's hoping for millions battling cancer. There are new developments tonight after those bomb threats targeting more than a dozen historically black colleges and universities. The FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force is now investigating these cases as hate crimes. A law enforcement source says at least 5 persons of interest have been identified across this country. No arrests have been made yet. No explosive devices have been found in any of the schools. The Biden administration tonight relaunching the Cancer Moonshot Initiative. President Biden first selected to lead the charge when he was VP under former President Obama. He now says his goal is to reduce cancer deaths by 50% in 25 years through prevention, screening, and new research.
There be no doubt, now that I am president, this is a presidential White House priority, period.
As you may know, it is a personal mission for the president. His son, Beau Biden, died of brain cancer in 2015. Beau's doctor was in the audience at the White House today. When we come back here tonight, what do Dolly Parton, Duran Duran, and Eminem all have in common tonight? To the index tonight of the new nominees this evening to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Dolly Parton, one of the new nominees on the long list of contenders. It is her first time on the ballot. 17 artists and bands receiving nominations, including other first-timers, Beck, Duran Duran, Eminem, Lionel Richie, and A Tribe Called Quest. Inductees will be announced in May. We're rooting for them all. When we come back here tonight, the book by an 8-year-old that has a 2-year waiting list at the local library. The young author is right here with us next.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Funny tonight here, America Strong, the 8-year-old author and his new book. If you'd like to read it, there's a long line, a 2-year wait. Tonight in Boise, Idaho, at the Lake Hazel branch of the Ada Community Library, the author of their most popular book is an 8-year-old boy, America Strong. Dylan Helbig took an old journal his grandmother gave him and turned it into an 82-page book, writing the title right there, The Adventures of Dylan Helbig's Christmas, by Dylan Helbig himself. It's a story about the holidays. Dylan is the main character. Chapter 1 to the North Pole, and like many aspiring authors, Dylan longed to see his book on the library shelf. So he made it happen himself, sneaking his book onto the shelf. The librarians found it and read it to their own children. It was a hit. And the next time Dylan came back to the library, they asked if they could make it an official library book. Right here tonight.
Hi, David.
The new author and his book.
One day,
Reading it to us.
I was decorating the tree, and the tree fell.
Dylan telling us why he wanted other children to read his book.
When one person sees me do this, they want to do it too, and that is inspiring.
There is now a 64-person wait list for Dylan's book. The library estimates that'll take about 2 years for everyone to sign it out.
Hi, David.
Hey, David. Dylan's parents, Susan and Alex.
The inspiration for other children and adults alike, I think, is the best part of this all.
If you believe in yourself and you can make your dream happen, and that's what he did.
And tonight, Dylan is already working on his second book.
Thanks for your time, David. Bye.
Thank you. Dylan Helbig. Remember that name. He's just getting started. Go, Dylan, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Good night.